So I want to talk a little bit today about three things that have really helped me not cheat so much, on my nutrition. Because I think, a lot of times people get in the groove and they're doing well, but then they fall off track, maybe on the weekend or something, and they beat themselves up, and then they never get back on track, right? If that sounds similar, then this might help you, because these are three things that have really helped me. The first thing is I give myself a 10% kind of room for error. So I call it like kind of the 90-10. I'm not sure where I heard that, but the 90-10 plan, basically you eat clean 90% of the time. 10%, you eat kind of not so clean. And you know what happens when you give yourself that 10%, at least for me, is I don't tend to use it very often because I know I have that 10%. I don't feel deprived. I'm not like itching or binging for that, for that kind of stuff. If I do, I don't beat myself up because I gave myself that 10%, room for error. That's kind of the first thing. The second thing is just mindfulness. Mindfulness, like being aware of why are you reaching for those things. I think a lot of times people cope emotionally, with food. So not being so reactive to emotions. That's, I think, a lot of people, including myself at times, we go through life just reacting to the impulses and emotions that are going through us, and then we just blindly react and grab whatever, do whatever we think, is the natural reaction, that kind of monkey brain reaction, right? So one thing is just becoming very conscious and aware of when those impulses come up to reach for that food, for that coping mechanism, and then just taking a moment to be like, okay, here's that impulse, here's that emotion running through me. Is me reaching for that food really going to help me long term, or is it just like going to help me for like a fleeting moment, and then I'm going to feel like crap 20 minutes later? And then if you just take that little bit of time to be mindful and conscious of that, you tend to let that impulse just kind of go by, and you don't just react to it. That's emotional maturity. I don't know where that term came from, but I like it. I think emotional immaturity is just when an impulse or an emotion comes up, you just immediately react to it without that little space of consciousness to let that come in, and then just let that impulse flow and say, all right, that me reaching for that food isn't really going to help me with my long-term goal. It's going to help me for a second, and then I'm going to probably maybe beat myself up over it, but it's not going to help me long term. So that little bit of consciousness, that little bit of being aware, mindful, that helps a lot too. The third thing is a little bit of an award system for yourself. Giving yourself, maybe when you feel that impulse or that emotion and you just kind of let it pass, and you don't act on it, put some money in a jar or something. Put some money in a jar towards something that you really want. Something cool like that, or just maybe make a mark on a paper and kind of keep track of how many times you've been able to just be present, catch that impulse, and just kind of let it go. But again, like this isn't this the food thing isn't another thing to beat yourself up over. This is not, because you guys, I'm sure I know we all beat ourselves up over enough things, but this is one thing that we shouldn't. This should be one thing that is almost like a teacher a little bit. Like give yourself that 10% to slip up, and start to use these impulses and emotions as like a teacher to become more mindful and aware of how reactive we really are. Yeah, those are three things that have really helped me not cheat so much on my nutrition. And you know what? It kind of carries over into other areas of life too, which is pretty cool. But I hope that helped, guys. If you have any questions, comment below, and I'll get back to you.